Main bridge here in Greenbrier. The old Messer store sit right here in the middle of the road. Guard Ridge. Church set up here. Friendship Church. The remains of Friendship Baptist Church. This is what's left of the pot-bellied stove. Cornerstones and the field. Church faced this way. We're about 40 yards above the road right here. And the Friendship Cemetery is back up the old trail. About 100 yards up the hill from the church, just off the road, is the Friendship Cemetery. Some old timers call it the Little Whaley Cemetery. In my book called Families of the Briar, I pretty much cover all these folks. About 75 graves here. The old days when these trees were down, had a great view of the valley below, and hotel, and Greenbrier Pinnacle, and Woolly Tops. As you come up Grapeyard Ridge Trail, you finally get to the top of the hill about 1 mile into your walk. There's a little curve to the right here. And just to the right in this little field is the fallen chimney of Avery Whaley's place. Not much left there today, but we were just crossing the gap here on on Taylor Ridge. And you go around and go down the hill and you make your way to the first creek crossing, which is Big Rhododendron Creek, also in the old days called Big Laurel. And this was the beginning of the old Big Laurel community. We've come down the hill to our first small creek crossing, which comes out of a holler back there. It used to be called Jim Burnt Holler. And believe it or not, there used to be a road right across here. That's actually an old road right through there. It's pretty grown up today. But this is where this creek and Big Rhododendron come together, and there's a manway down this creek that has a bunch of decent sized cascades, including Mike's Falls. Used to be a Cavalier barn sit right over there. First creek crossing. And just right here is a little manway. Goes by Pink Womby's place and follows the creek down to the road. And there's home sites down to there. And just a nice walk, about 1.5 miles down to the road. Grapeyard Ridge Trail continues up to here through the Roto Tunnel. Very quiet and peaceful today. About 100 years ago, there's 20 or so families living back in this particular area of what Grandma used to call Rattlesnake Holler. The big tree on the trail, the twin, is where you can walk up the trail just a little bit further. And to the right, see the large fallen chimney of Charles Rayfield's old place, the old Charles. May have been one of the first ones to live in Big Laurel. From the Rayfield place, George lived there later. There's actually a trail cut through the woods. It comes over this little ditch right here, little wet spring. The trail goes up that field right there, about 200 yards, and to the right is where Big Laurel Schoolhouse sit. And the spring house is still there from the schoolhouse, and there's also another home place to the left. There's a gap back in there which you can cut over the hill and go down to Little Laurel, Little Grapeyard Creek today. Big old ferns in here. That's where Big Laurel schoolhouse sit. And Miss Rayfield was a teacher there. Before you get to the next creek crossing, there's a holler back to the left, which is actually one of my favorite wintertime walks because it's a nice, beautiful field back in there, and there's a couple of chimneys back in there. There's also a way of cutting over the hill to Dodgen-Rayfield Cemetery, I call Dodge and Holler. But today it's still summertime, and it's a very snaky area, so we'll go in the way the Brown Book tells people to go in. My book, Smoky Mountains Book 1, I cover all these families and who married who and who sold out to who and where they all lived. 100 yards past the second creek crossing, this wooded area right here around this tree in springtime, there's about half a dozen to a dozen jack in the pulpits and other pretty spring flowers. A couple of home places on this side of the creek too that are hard to get to this time of year. We've crossed the creek a few more times. We've come to where you find a few fence posts on the trail, and this little flat spot right back in there is where Isaac Stennett's house sit. Real nice house. And his dad, John Stennett, had a tub mill right down here somewhere. And this is the place on this creek and on this trail, in that little corner right there, where there's about 100 bee balm plants. They're about done for this season, but you can still see some blooming there. It's a real pretty spot for bee balms. And we're back up here close to where across the creek is where we're going to go. Follow an old man way up to the cemetery. Tater Ridge is still here behind us. And there's trails across that ridge into different hollers. My family's of the Briar. I have pictures of all these folks and the house and stuff. Going to trail a bit further, and there's a pretty good sized quartz rock right there. Just about half mile before you start climbing up James Ridge to go toward the steam engine. And right here on the left, across the creek, if you look carefully, right there and right there, you can see the old wagon wheel ruts where Andy Rayfield's wagons went across here up to his apple orchard. There's a big holler back here with 4 or 5 old home places and a couple of side roads and another pretty place to hike in wintertime. But if you cross the creek, which today is not too bad, there's a little pathway to the left that goes around and you can follow it up to the cemetery. And you do have to cross a couple of side branches on the way to the trail. I see there's a little bit of bear pushing over moss right there. This reminds me right here one time, I was by myself like I am this morning and walking up through here, and I was pretty quiet. And all of a sudden I thought I heard something, and I turned, and this thick roto stuff right here, I had either a bobcat or a mountain lion growl at me and then scream at me. And to be honest, it put a real shiver down my spine. I actually changed my course that day of where I was hiking to get back off this valley. And then about another quarter mile up that way one time, I was walking down the trail, and a bear jumped out of a tree and landed about 5 feet in front of me. And before I could even catch my breath, he'd already ran 100 yards away. Just kind of didn't hear him or see him, and usually I smell him this time of year, but I just didn't notice him, and thank goodness he didn't land on top of me, a young bear. But that snarling bobcat, which is what I think it was, it must have had a dead turkey or deer in the woods, and I was just too close for it, and it let me know it. So we cross this wet branch, and we go up a side gully, and go up Dodge and Holler, and go up to the cemetery. The little manway trail comes on a real pretty fern area. There's a little bit of a swampy area to our right. There's some hog holes there. Here's some real tall ferns. That's cinnamon ferns, what they call cinnamon ferns. there's a fence post with a broken jar on top of it. And you come up the trail just a little ways. It shows you how old I am. This big tree here, it's been broken off for a while. I can remember when it was still standing. But anyway, you just follow this gully. You gotta keep an eye out for bees and snakes this time of year. It's not too bad. There's been some bears digging into that. But I hadn't heard nothing. And after coming up that gully, about 50 yards or so, you come to a crossroads, believe it or not. There's a couple of trails here to our right there. Lead up the holler to more home places. My great uncle Dilly lived way back up there at one time. The road goes down through here and kind of disappears, but right down there's where Mary and Dodgen lived. That's the name of the cemetery, Dodgen-Rayfield Cemetery, but that's the way I usually come in. Very pretty holler down through there, but today we just follow the regular path, and you just turn to the left and follow this path up a steep little hill to get to the cemetery. The trail about 50 yards, and you come to this nice opening. One of my favorite cemeteries in the park. Dodgen-Rayfield Cemetery. Dodgen lived down the hill. Rayfields lived down the highway. I don't know if any Rayfields buried here, to be honest. Mostly Stennets and McFalls and old Ormbeys and Huskies. There's John Stennett right here. 1835, 1910. That's Isaac's daddy. There's a John Messer buried there. It looks like a baby's grave though, younger child. My great uncle Dilly's got a baby buried over there somewhere. There's no marking for it. The Noggers are here. They got forced out of the park. They moved to Florida. They moved back to Pigeon Forge. Old McFalls, which probably lived up here behind the Manning's old place back in the day. But you can tell this hill was a big hill with a nice view. Right there's Taylor Ridge, going all the way around to Mount Winnesoka, back to James Gap. You can't see it from here, but over that hill would be Mount LeConte. That ridge is blocking our view of that. They did a cemetery book back in the 60s. This cemetery looked just like this. It was totally overgrown with rhodo. And Glenn Cardwell and some guys came up here and cleaned it all off. So they could put all these names of these graves and who they knew about into the cemetery book, which I will do as well, along with the directions and the GPS and other interesting history I can find on a few of these folks. But just a very Big Laurel community is like one big valley. Then you put a scoop of ice cream right in the middle of it and climb up on top of it, and that's where this cemetery is. When the leaves are down, you can see the Greenbrier Pinnacle. You look back toward Ramsey Cascade. Right up there's a couple of knobs. I call them M&M knobs. I've been up there before. A few big trees up there. Straight across that gap right there, you can go down to the hiker's cabin on Porter's Creek. Gatlinburg's back that way. The Big Laurel community was a big community at one time. Here's Ellen Dodgen Ormby, who was one of Mary and Frances Dodgen's daughters. This used to have hog wire around it at one time. There's a couple of fence posts here where one set of graves were separated from the rest of the cemetery at one time. Deer's coming here and eat the grass. And the park will clean it out every once in a while. So now you had to get to know how to get to Dodgen-Rayfield Cemetery, which in the Brown Book is a little confusing. Just another great piece of history from the Great Smoky Mountains National Park.